I don't have any of those things where you can call and do video talk with somebody on the phone.
Video chat.
Yeah, I ain't got that.
You have it, you just don't know you have it.
Oh, well, you know what? I stand corrected and you're correct. I have it. I'm not going to use it.
There you go.
And always, it never fails, man. Somebody's always, hey, man, so-and-so said you to see your video chat. Delete. I'm not video chatting with you, man. If I want to see you, I'll come over there.
I have no words. You have no words.
Hey, right?
Look, we got 10 seconds almost.
Yeah, but think about it. It's helping you relax.
It is.
My actual whole design for that was take your mind on what you're thinking.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
3, 2, 1.
Oh, there you go. So my timer was a little bit ahead of the time. How y'all doing? Let me see, make sure I got this down. Comments. There we go. Hey, everybody. Hey, everyone. It is Wednesday, and you're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key, and we are selling Sacramento. On today's show, we are going to be discussing 5 things sellers should know if they plan on selling in this current real estate market in 2020. 5 things. And I want to start the show by saying this. Real estate is local. And oftentimes, many of the stories we hear about real estate are on a national level. And as a result, we take that information and we tend to apply it locally, not realizing that we are misinforming ourselves about our situation here. So today's show is specifically to help clarify any of those misconceptions. I read an article about a week ago, and it was in a national paper, and it said that the real estate market was going to be bottoming out soon, that we're going to experience, the downfall, that story. But as I read the story, I realized that the examples they were using were in New York, Manhattan, Queens, San Francisco. If you have been following real estate and COVID-19, when COVID-19 first occurred, it slammed the city of New York. It slammed the state. So much so, I don't know if you've seen these stories, but people have been leaving New York and the New York area in droves. And guess what that's been leaving behind? Empty real estate. Empty homes, empty buildings, empty commercial spaces. That is not happening here in Sacramento. And I don't have to tell you that for you to know that. You know that that's not happening. But I do need to help you draw the conclusion. I do need to help you make the connection to the stories like these that you might be reading in comparison to what's actually happening. It's very similar to everybody's got a mama. Everybody, if you're alive, you have a mother, right? But it would not be fair to say that everybody's mother is loving. So it's true with real estate. Everywhere there is real estate, but everything that is happening with real estate is not the same. So when you hear stories about the market falling and you take a look at the source of that story, is that a national paper? Is it are they talking about, that story's going to change when it comes from the perspective even of a state perspective. And then it's going to change and get even more refined when the story comes from a local perspective. So yes, it is a seller's market. Yes, there are lots of buyers out there, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. I just got back from a trip to Houston, and the real estate in Houston versus real estate here in Sacramento. Again, two different mamas. Mama Houston, when it comes to her, the zoning codes, it's like the wild, wild west out there. If any of you have ever lived in Houston, and I'm sure it's not just Houston, but also the Texas area, the area of the state of Texas, you can put a mansion next to a farm, next to a duplex, next to a commercial property, and they all sing kumbaya and get along just fine. You cannot get away with that in California. Somebody will sue you for 5 different reasons. So, and then the conditions of real estate in that area, they're still experiencing some of the same things that we are as far as a tightening of inventory, but the only difference is that they're still building very quickly. They're buying lots. I have a friend who he buys lots all of the time. He's a developer out there, and he bought lots 7-10 years ago for $20,000 that are now worth over $200,000, the lots. And so the houses, once you build on them, what they're doing is they're building where there was once one home. They demolish that home because it's, one of those homes built in the early 1900s. They demolish it. It was standing on cinder blocks, so it didn't take long to demolish it. But then they clear the area, and then they put up townhomes, 4, where one house stood. It's a very common practice. They're putting up 4 townhomes where one home once stood. And the housing prices out there, they're comparable to the salaries and things, but they're a lot more affordable in comparison to what housing prices are here in Sacramento. So today's show is going to help you understand 5 things. The importance of selecting the right agent in this market here in Sacramento, where these buyers are coming from and why they're coming, and then why the highest offer isn't always the best offer. That's going to sting for some of you sellers or potential sellers. The power of the appraisal, we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to successfully negotiate repair requests, because you may have some. So we're going to get into all that when we come back from the break. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key. Hey, everybody. Hi, Miss Charlotte. How you doing? Hey, Miss Charmaine. Hey, sis. Hi, Felicia. Hey, Miss Keisha. Hey, girl. JD Black. Am I saying that right? JD Black. You know it's not right. You be seeing that young man on the low. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking? Am I gonna have to block you? Because I have no idea what you're talking about. As a buyer, it's depressing out here. Yeah, it is. And you know what? We have a lot of buyers that we're working with right now, and they would say the same thing. They're going through a lot. Some of their offers are getting accepted, and some of them we just keep trying. And I probably should have a show about that. Some of the tips and tricks that we use to help our buyers' offers get accepted. Working with a really experienced buyer's agent in this market is important also because of exactly what you're talking about. Is it Latasha? Is it Latasha? I want to say it right. It looks like Latasha. But Let me see here. I'm looking at all the comments coming in. Jaded Black. Latasha, well, I'm not a buyer yet. However, I'm getting discouraged. Oh, why are you getting discouraged already? Girl, get in there and have something to get. Okay, you said yes. Latasha, the first one, or Latasha, the second one? Let's see. I'm waiting for you to tell. Oh, the first one. Latasha, got it. Okay, girl, got it. Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, why are you discouraged already? Tell me what you're discouraged about. I thought you were already buying. Let's see if we can help you out. Have you started the process of getting pre-qualified? Have you talked to a lender? Are you out there looking at properties online, or are you looking with wait, tell me what you're doing. Are you just reading the stories and the headlines and getting discouraged? Is that what's happening? Okay, you guys, when we come back from the break, we're going to jump into this. The cost and just the lack of knowledge. That's why I watch. Oh, awesome. Yeah, the cost is pretty, it's up there, the lack of knowledge. But see, you're doing the right thing by learning, by taking the time to understand the process. Yes, contact Jamal for sure. Contact Jamal for sure. You having the information that you need will help you make the right decisions. It's always, if you can afford it, it's always a good time to buy. You just have to well, do what you're doing, getting the information. Don't get discouraged. It may be you have to make the best decision for you. So if it's too tough and it gets frustrating, it's okay to pull back. Take some time to pull back. Maybe wait till after the election, after things calm down, settle down a little bit, like December or January. The market's going to change again then. Right after the election happens, we're going to see a whole nother transition in the market. Hey guys, I'll be right back. Got to get back to the show. Hey everyone, we're back. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key and we are selling Sacramento. Our topic today, 5 things sellers should know if they are planning to sell in this 2020 market here in Sacramento. Number 1, the importance of selecting the right agent in this market. This is a very challenging market and it's a very different market. It's a very difficult market and it is an unknown market. There are no crystal balls. There is nothing that is predictable anymore, not only in real estate, but in 2020. We can't predict anything. Everything is just throwing us for a loop, right? So if you are looking to sell your home, it is imperative that you reach out to someone whose home has recently been sold and ask them about their experience with their real estate professional. And not just one person, but it would be to your benefit to ask 2, 3 or more. Do your research, do your due diligence. This is not the time to select your cousin who's licensed and has been licensed for years, but you never see them actually sell anything, but they're licensed. This ain't that time to select that cousin. And so you all understand where I'm going with that. You want someone who is well qualified and who is actively selling real estate full time. The other reason is because we are also in an environment where there are COVID-19 restrictions on how we list and sell people's properties. And if your agent isn't knowledgeable in that area, if your agent's brokerage doesn't have a plan in place that they can point to and shoot over to you in an email or print it out and present it to you, that's probably not the person that you want to work with. You don't want just the simple process of trying to list your property to backfire on you and have any legal issues because your agent didn't follow proper showing guidelines. So that's another reason that it's really important to select the right agent. It's important to select the right agent when you're selling your home at any time. But I know oftentimes there are people who say, they try to sell it on their own, or they want to give it to someone to help them out. Selling your home is getting into a legal and binding contract. So at all times, you want to be very careful who you select to sell your home. I'm not sure that we give that much thought, give that part that much thought. In some states, they use real estate attorneys to sell property. In California, if your agent is a realtor, and that's the brand, when you hear people say realtor, they say it like it's a common name that you can call every real estate agent, but that's not true. Realtor is a designation that we pay into annually, a lot of money every year, to have a team of real estate attorneys at our disposal, at my fingertips, any time of the day. I can call or email the legal team for advice and specific directions and assistance with whatever is going on with my transactions. So you definitely want to have a very experienced and knowledgeable, real-time, present-day agent representing you if you're trying to sell your home in this market. The other side of that is selling in this market. There are a lot of buyers that will probably want to buy your home if it's priced right and if it is in the proper condition. You can't just put anything on the market and think that it's going to go. Depending on if it's a fixer in a certain area, then that might be an expectation. But if you live in a neighborhood where the homes are, I'm trying to find the right politically correct words to say, where it's a working class neighborhood and there's an expectation when you walk into the house, you want to make sure, you need to be prepared, if you have a good agent, for that agent to tell you need to do some things to get your house ready to sell. So a good agent is going to tell you those things, not just put your house on the market and take pictures and you got the dish soap showing in the kitchen in the photo and towels hanging around and you can see people in the pictures, and you don't want that agent, because those pictures could be the difference as to whether or not you get those buyers who are out there. So the buyers don't just come just because you list the house. The buyers come because of the way the agent presents the house. And in order for the agents to present the house a certain way, they've got to have a process in place to walk you through it before they sell your home. So a good agent is going to come to you with a marketing plan on, hey, this is how I plan to get your home sold. Make sure that that's the agent that you're looking to hire to sell in this market. And again, that agent's also going to have a COVID-19 showing instruction plan as well. I also wanted to add, if you would like to call, if you are considering selling or if you're in the process of buying and you have a question, always feel free to call me right here at the station, 916-921-5333. 916-921-5333. We are also online live right now on Facebook at Selling Sacramento on the Radio, my YouTube channel, and Twitter, which is feeding through Periscope. So you can also see the show live right now on all 4 of those platforms. And you can ask questions, and I'm watching the questions in the comments coming in right now from everybody. So, oh, see, and one of my buyers that we're representing is watching right now. And she just said, yes, some of these pictures. And I'm sure that's an SMH. Oh, we're going to take a call right now. 97.5. Good afternoon. Are you calling in with a question or a comment for today's show? I'm sorry, your call is breaking up. Say that one more time. Okay. Yes, that's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. And I'm going to repeat that question for our viewers who are watching online. The question is, why do people still use real estate agents when they have all of these online services now that can help you sell your home, supposedly, without an agent and for less money? And the reason is because these companies that are claiming that they can do that for you, they don't always necessarily tell you or disclose what that consists of. There is one company that says that they'll sell your home for, I think, 2%, something like that, some kind of a flat fee. But what they don't tell you is that you also have to pay the commission for the buyer's agent on the other side. They only advertise the first half. So when all is said and done, guess how much you're paying? You're paying more than what you would actually pay a real estate agent. Because these companies also say, so you're paying 2% or 2.5% to list. That's the commission they advertise to pull you in. You have to pay the 2.5% to the other side. So now you add a whole 5%. Guess what? That's like a standard. Well, I can't say that, but that is not very far off from what other real estate agents are already charging. But then these companies go one step further, and then they recommend that you make all of these changes to your property before they sell it. I had a family call me, and they said they were in a discussion with a company who said they can get their house sold, quick in 30, 45 days. Let's say it was 45 days. And they gave them a price at which they would sell it at. They also told them that they wanted them to put $20,000 worth of repairs in the home before they got it sold. One of the family members reached out to me and said, Keisha, what do you think about this? I said, that's poppycock. First of all, that's a nationwide company. Again, what did we just learn today, ladies and gentlemen, about real estate? It's local. It is not national. You can't gauge real estate in Sacramento on a national level. But because this company is a national company, they don't have specific people running around here making the proper assessments to give you a right assessment as a seller. So the information that they gave the sellers was incorrect. I told my client that I worked that area quite a bit, and without even doing any real deep research, just gave her an overall number. This area is pretty common. This is the number that's common for this house if we sold it without you putting any money in it, selling it as is. Because guess what I got to do that company didn't get to do? I got to walk through that house. They don't walk through the house because they want you to be online, unattached. They don't know what's really going on. They're not into relationships. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let me tell you who companies like this work for, because this is how these companies are built. They're built on business models. They look to see who they can target And whoever falls into the net is who they get. They don't really care about serving everyone. Local real estate agents care about serving the masses. These companies are only targeting a certain group of people. So this company in particular that you're referencing is targeting that person who does not care about the condition of the home. They need to sell fast and they just want some money. They don't really care how much money it is as long as it's above a certain amount that they're trying to net. But for people who care about how their home sells, for this family in particular, it had been a family home. So they weren't interested in a company serving them who was not going to be empathetic to how they felt about the house. These companies don't have empathy. And if you don't need an empathetic company, then that company might be for you. If you don't need to worry about how much you get necessarily, by the way, we sold their house for $40,000 more than what this company said they'd sell it for, and they did not have to put any money in it. Well, it's the same thing because the point is that your friend, whoever communicated with this company, received proceeds from the sale of the home, right? Exactly. So that's my point. Exactly. Hey, I got to go, but thank you so much for that call. I appreciate that. Thank you. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye. So that was a great call. That was a great opportunity to talk about those types of companies because they do. They do. I have to be very careful with what I say. They target certain people, but because they do so well at advertising, it looks like they're targeting everyone. But when you reach out to them and you communicate with them and they start breaking things down for you and you start asking questions, then you realize this probably may not be for me, right? So thank you, caller, for that call. I forgot to ask her name. Thank you for that call. So second, where the buyers are coming from and why. So sellers, you need to understand where the buyers are coming from and why. There are two phenomena happening right now in Sacramento real estate of where our buyers are coming from. The first set of buyers have been coming here for a couple of years now, making things very difficult for people who live here in Sacramento. And if we were all in a room together, we could say it all on the count of three. The Bay Area. Yes. Housing prices over in the Bay are so significantly high. And one of the main reasons that I believe, I haven't seen any data on this, this is just a hunch that I have. We have a new generation of young adults where we back in the day, we planned trips to the Bay. We didn't necessarily go on a whim. It's like, oh, this weekend, let's go to the Bay. These young adults today, they'll look at their watch and say, I'm going to go to the Bay in about another hour. You know, they don't think anything about destination. They don't put distance between where they are now and where they want to go. They move much quickly. And I think that the internet access, the community, the closeness and proximity that social media brings everyone together, that it does to bring everyone together, it makes you seem not so distant from me anymore. And for me to know that the Bay Area is just 2 hours away and boom, there it is, I don't think about planning. I just go, I just do. And I think that group of people, that mindset, that idea that you're really not that far away from me, has propelled more people to think, now this was before COVID. This is the thought process before COVID. That's not too far away. Instead of me trying to buy a $2 million home here in San Francisco, I'll just go to Sacramento or Folsom or Rancho Cordova too, Rockland, and buy a $400,000 or $500,000 house instead. More affordable, and then I will just commute. Now, they were doing that before COVID. Now, think about this. What do you think happened once Google and Microsoft and all of those others said, all of our employees get to work from home now indefinitely? What do you think happened? They're like, oh, all bets are off. If they owned houses in the Bay Area, they went up for sale. And then they're coming here to the Sacramento region, whether it's Rockland, Folsom, Rancho Cordova, Natomas, Elk Grove, all over the place, Sacramento, downtown Sacramento, midtown, and they're bringing their treasure trove of equity that they just cashed out in the Bay, and they are the ones that are putting down these 20% down conventional loan purchases or more, or even all cash. So that's one dynamic of buyers that's coming in. That's just one. Who's the other buyer? Well, let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates have never been as low as they are right now. And anytime you can buy a home for 2 to 3%, anytime you can buy anything, can we just say that? Anytime you can buy anything, finance something for 2 to 3% when it's normally 4 or 5, and I say normally, some of you listening know that there have been times when interest rates were 7, 8%. There have been times when interest rates were double digit. The cost of the properties were lower, but nevertheless, the interest rate was high. So we are witnessing historically low interest rates right now. And it's bringing out buyers whose main concern is always, or not always, whose main concern primarily is the interest rate. So you have buyers who were trying to buy before COVID, plus buyers from the Bay Area, and now buyers who are trying to take advantage of the low interest rate. That's a lot of buyers. And as a result, we are witnessing multiple offer situations on a regular basis. I'm signing off on anywhere from 15 to 20 offers or more on a weekly basis, where we're submitting offers on behalf of buyers, trying to get them accepted and submitting them to the listing agents, talking about how awesome our buyers are, highlighting all the benefits of their offers, only to have the agents come back and say that their seller accepted another offer. And this is to those who are buyers out there, and you're experiencing the same thing. To you, I say, hold on, consider it a second part-time job, because if you are able to get into contract, you're going to have a great deal with the interest rate and with the timing of it all. Sacramento real estate is trending upward. And I know that people want to say the market is going to crash. Let's say worst case scenario, the market does crash. We have no idea what that looks like, but let's say it does. Before COVID-19 and during, there are big Fortune 500 companies who have planted and are planning to plant themselves right here in Sacramento. And as a result, they're bringing with them the talent pool that other companies look for as a reason to also come and set up shop next to Fortune 500 companies. And as a result of those jobs then bring housing, and then with that, services are needed. Sacramento is growing. It's not reducing. It's not going down, it's going up. And that is simple math. So even if the market were to fall, for whatever reason that it fell, it would rebound back to the direction that it was going in. So if you were able to buy a home during this time, I'm assuming you're going to stay in it at least 5 years. The average is that people stay in their homes from 5 to 8 years. So if you buy a home and you're going to stay in and the market falls, you stay in it. If you could afford it when you bought it, I'm going to make the assumption that you can afford it if the market should fall, depending on how the market falling might impact you. Let's say you're in a good position financially, you keep your job, you can afford your house, you ride the wave of recovery. That's worst case scenario, ladies and gentlemen. So don't fear when you hear these things about the market is going to crash. You have to look at more of the other factors that exist. I think that we have this fear because we are all very familiar with, it's still very fresh in a lot of our minds, the 2008. And I've said this on the show a couple of times, when the market fell in 2008, what existed then and what exists now are totally different. There were very bad loans. Very, very bad loans. They were structured inappropriately, illegally, and a lot more people should have gone to jail or should have been penalized than actually were. But loans these days, if you qualify for a loan, you really qualify. They've checked you front and back, and they check you the day before you close escrow. Some of them are making you sign documents saying that you promise that you won't stop paying in the event you lose your job through COVID-19, things like that. They're really making sure that you really qualify, that you really are able to afford and can sustain the payment. So this isn't those types of loans from those days. So the loans back then, the loans were bad. Also, there was an excessive amount of inventory. The buildings were going up. New home construction was all over the place. You all know Elk Grove and Natomas went from looking like Mayberry to, I almost said something else. I have to be so careful and vet everything before I say it. It grew. Both parts of the town grew exponentially very quickly. And then when the crash occurred, it stopped just as fast. All that development stopped, right? So two totally different scenarios. If you weigh that, the crash that happened in 2008 versus this looming crash that people are planting a seed about, again, who knows what's going to happen? Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knew that fly was going to land on Pence's head. Come on now. We just thought Kamala was going to just take him out and that was going to be it. That fly was a game changer. That was I'm laughing at my engineer, you guys. Anyway, we don't know what's going to happen. 2020 has been throwing us for a loop. So make no assumptions, make preparations, and do what's best for you. Get the information that you need to make the best decision for you, right? Next, why the highest offer isn't always the best offer. The highest offer isn't always the best offer. And this kind of goes into number 4, the power of the appraisal. Sellers, I know what you want. You want the most money you can get for your house. So you want the listing agent to tell you that your house can sell for as much as possible. The reality is the majority of people who purchase your home, unless it's a home that falls around that $200,000 price point where there could possibly be some all cash buyers. If it's higher than 200,000, if you're pushing into 300,000 or more, chances are your buyer is going to be a buyer who is financing. Some of that money is going to come from a loan. And if it's coming through a loan, that means there's going to be an appraisal. The mistake that some listing agents are making is not informing their sellers in advance about this. When there's an appraisal, that means that the bank is only going to pay the amount that the house has appraised at. They're only going to finance the house for the amount that it's being appraised at. So if you have a $400,000 house, you have an offer for $425,000, and you've accepted that offer over the other offers that were 405,000, an FHA 3.5% down, or even a 20% down at 405,000. Those are the buyers you really should be looking at. Because let me tell you a little bit about the buyer who's making the offer at 425,000. They're trying to play you. They're trying to play you because they know that, well, let's just make a high offer. And when the appraisal comes back, if it comes in lower, we'll just ask the seller to reduce the price. So the sellers don't get played. Don't get played. In advance, go ahead and really consider those buyers who made an offer at or around market value or even slightly above. The appraisers are being, and I'm kind of veering over into the power of the appraisal. The appraisers are policing themselves. They don't want to be caught with their hand in the cookie jar when all of this is said and done, being accused of inflating prices. So they are not going to give your house the value of the $425,000 if there's no other data there to support it. If all of the other data says the homes in the area are selling for $400,000, guess what they're going to give you? Somewhere around the $400,000. So don't allow yourself to be played like that. Do yourself a favor and do a struggling buyer a favor. You hear, I've got buyers that are watching right now. It's tough out there. It's tough out there. I have seen so many houses go back on the market after being in escrow for 2 weeks, and that's right about the time it takes for the appraisal to come back. And it falls out of escrow because the buyer that made the higher offer does not have the cash to cover the difference. That's another route you could take, is to ask the buyer before you go into contract, hey, do you have the cash to cover the difference of this amount that you're trying to say you're going to pay for my house? And then have them show you evidence called proof of funds, POF, proof of funds. Show me the proof that you have $25,000, not including your closing costs and your down payment. You need to have $25,000 additional to make up for that difference. So if you are a seller, that's just something that you need to consider. Change your thought process about trying to get an excessive amount of money, because there will be an appraisal if your buyer is financing. You're going to save yourself some time. You're going to save yourself some heartache. And you might just do a wonderful thing for another buyer who's been trying to get their offer accepted and has made multiple offers, just by accepting a strong. What is a strong offer? Accept a strong offer. Strong offer is not necessarily the highest offer. A strong offer is one where the buyer's financials are intact, where when your listing agent calls that buyer's lender, they tell them, not only are all of the documents that we've requested of them, not only are they in, but they got them into us on time. That's what you want to hear. All of the documents that have been requested are in, and they are on time. Their employment is secure. They've got money in the bank as evidence of the money that they're bringing to the table, however much, whether they're putting down a lot, a little, or getting down payment assistance, you want to see evidence that this buyer has what they say they have and have done the things that they say they're going to do. Maybe they might include a letter to let you know who they are, tell you a little bit about themselves. You can ask those things. Your listing agent can ask those things of the buyer's lender to see exactly how secure this buyer is. And then your agent doing their own due diligence. This really should be a conversation that you should have up front as far as what is it that you're expecting to net. If they set the price for your house at $400,000, then that's the value of the area. Once your listing agent gives you a net sheet, that's the amount that you should be talking with your agent about. Am I okay with receiving this? Is this good? Are we good here? Yeah. So then anything else above that is gravy. It shouldn't be a determining factor as to whether or not you accept someone else's offer. There are other things in the offer that you want to look for as far as buyer strengths. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to finish off with the power of the appraisal and how to successfully negotiate requests for repairs. You're listening to 97.5 FM. I'm Agent Key, and we'll be right back.
Today is actually her birthday.
Whose birthday? Your sister's?
No, my son. But today is Karen White's birthday. Yeah.
Oh, you said her birthday. I'm like, but
that's a song that's played.
I didn't hear the song before you made the statement, though. I'm not that good.
I know what I was thinking. I feel my sister so much.
Hey, Miss Angela. Hey, cuz. Hi, Cece. Hey, Helena. Thank you. Ooh, I pulled my blouse down. Hey, wow. Hi, Helena. I haven't seen you in a while, honey. How are you? Oh my gosh. Can y'all hear Karen White? Turn it up a little bit. That's all I was waiting for. And today's her birthday? She made a comment on one of the posts that I made when I was doing Jay's show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I come through and said Karen White. I was like, oh, Karen White.
Yeah, she's living.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah. Because she was married to Bobby, right?
She was.
Yeah.
She was married to Bobby.
That's all I'm going to say about that. No joking.
Hey,
You're so silly. Look, we're live and recording. Don't give me any. This is a great episode, Keith. Thank you, Miss Wanda. Thank you, ma'am. Can you hear Dosty back there?
Hey.
Oh, I should not be drinking this. I think.
Why are you?
Huh? Why? Because I feel like I think I'm still a little jet lagged. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh, that's right.
Because I feel like I'm kind of like. No, it's not that. I just thought about that though just now, that it might be jet lag.
And it could. Yeah. But you get it today or
last night at 10:30. So I got home by maybe 12, took a shower and went straight to bed. Yeah, it was, because my bedtime is 9 o'clock. I got up, I think, what time was I up? I think like 6:30, which is late, because I usually am up by 4, so 2 whole hours.
It's on Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, guys. So.
You get up early on Tuesday morning?
To be here.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't know what I would do staying in bed too late. Whatever.
Me and my bed, I got a good pressure on my bed.
You got a thing going on.
Man, I'd marry my bed if I could.
You're so silly.
I am.
We're back, you guys. Hey everyone, we are back. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key, and we have been talking about 5 things sellers should know if they plan to sell their home in Sacramento in 2020. We are down to number 4, the power of the appraisal. Yes. Dun, dun, dun. So before we went to break, I alluded to how appraisers are pretty much policing themselves because they don't want to be the ones to be accused. And they're not policing themselves just for this reason, but it's their job to make sure that they are valuing properties in accordance with what's actually happening, with what's actually selling. And so the appraisal is so powerful. Let me say this. The appraisal is contingent upon the appraiser. What do you mean, Keisha? You can have 5 appraisers go and appraise the same house. Guess how many values you're going to get? 5. 5 different values. However, they all should pretty much be very close in the neighborhood, very close to each other as far as the assessment or the valuation. They should not be off. They should not be separated by $10,000, $20,000. And so when I say that because oftentimes an appraisal is done and a seller it may make a seller happy or it may make a seller upset. But that appraisal, when it's done, there has to be evidence to support that number. And as many times, there have been appraisals that I've loved. There's been appraisals that have come in with no fanfare. I'm like, oh, okay, And then there have been appraisals that I've despised. But when I go back and I look at the supporting evidence, I have to admit, there's not been an appraisal yet, with the exception of one that we contested many, many, many years ago, not even in this market, where the appraiser was from out of town, didn't know the area, didn't know the rooter from the tutor, and we did contest that one. However, the majority of other appraisers are providing evidence that supports their conclusion. And when I go back and I look at the data, I say, yeah, that's right. Oh, I didn't consider that. That's true. That's right. What are they looking at? They're looking at other properties like yours in the area. If you have a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2-story in Natomas, 1,900 square feet, 1,925, they're looking at other 4-bedroom, 3 bathrooms in Natomas, around 1,900 square feet, give or take a couple hundred square feet, within a half-mile radius within the past 6 months. Within a half-mile radius within the past 6 months. If there was a home that sold in your area a year ago, they're not using that as a comp. If there was a home that sold in your area where you heard it sold for $550,000, but it's not recorded in MLS because it was a for sale by owner, they're not using that as a comp. If you see a zestimate that a house is worth $550,000, I'm sorry, they are not using that as a comp. And we will save the zestimate for another show at another time. They are using houses that look like yours, that function like yours, that feel like yours, that have the similar amenities, the same type of construction, and that are within a half-mile radius of your home within the past 6 months. They make adjustments based on amenities. There might be a home with a pool. If that home sold for $425,000, they may make an adjustment depending on what the pool looks like. If it's a basic pool, maybe they'll take off $5,000. If it's a real fancy pool with a slide and a waterfall, they might deduct 10 or 15 to bring it down to what your house would be worth. Or if your house was the one with the pool, then they would make the adjustments and add that money to the value of your house. But they make adjustments for amenities. What are some other amenities? Crown molding, upgrades, brand new windows, brand new HVAC, brand new roof, big ticket items that actually make a difference in the pricing. Big ticket items that actually make a difference in the pricing. If you remodeled your home professionally within the past 5 years, and I apologize, I had to say professionally because sometimes we DIY, we do it ourselves, and we get our friends and family to tell us how awesome it is. But then you get a set of real discriminating eyes to look at it, and you can see the craftsmanship and the finishes are not professional. And I love you all listening. But if you are going to DIY, you really need to know. You ask somebody to tell you the truth and get ready to hear the truth and say, hey, do these finishes look professional? You know whether or not you are a DIYer who is professional. If you're not, and you're trying to do updates to save money, or because you just want to get the glory out of it, but then you also want to sell the home, you're going to have a problem on your hands getting the value out of that. I digressed a little bit because the point that I was trying to make was about the 5 years. You need to have updated your home professionally within 5 years in order to be able to legitimately say recently updated. Said all that just to say recently updated homes have been updated within 5 years. If you updated your home 6 years, it is not recently updated. So if you've updated your home 10 years ago, definitely not recently updated. And I'm trying to say that in love, you guys, because actually there are very small, what is the word I'm looking for? Very small things that you can do financially to add value to your home, to get it to sell, that don't cost you a lot. I think sometimes people think they need to remodel so that they can get more out of their home. And you really don't need to remodel to get more. For most people, all you need to do is clean the house and paint the walls, and you can probably get a whole bunch more. Really, in my experience, get somebody to go through and deep clean that house, declutter it, paint the walls, and maybe put in some flooring. Flooring can be as little as a couple $1,000s, $1,500 in a room, Oh, you guys, shoot, I am out of time. Dag nabbit, I'm getting the wave. So, you know what? I'm going to...
Part 2?
No, I'm not going to part 2 because we only have one more. I'm going to turn this into a blog, and I'm going to post it on my website at agentkee.com, agentkee.com. You will find the rest of this on my blog at www.agentkee.com. You've been listening to 97.5 FM. I'm Agent Kee. And remember, if you are doing what you were created to do, I will see you at the top.
That's a good sign, though. I like it. Start to see.
You know what? I didn't. When we came back from the break, my mind said, look at the time and break up how much, and I didn't.
And you did.
You guys, I'm so sorry. Interesting. Recently, 5 years. Yes, that is right, Larry.
That was. I didn't know that either.
Yeah, thank you. 5 years is the date. You guys, I gotta go. See y'all later. Thank you for tuning in. Next time. Bye.